miss you. It's good to see you, dude. Yeah,
Oh, I see your eyes, man. I missed you too. Bro, it's been like a decade.
so much.
It's
It's
been a
happening,
decade, man.
dude.
It's like, oh.
Look, I almost finished my book, dude.
So this hard drive in your microchip helps you to find these ancient. Is it like there's like it's kind of like outside of the fractals? Is there some kind of like a whole nother layer, like a matrix that connects you to like this ancient intelligence that you can like pinpoint it by, you know what I mean? Like how does it get in? I mean, it's like you can see through and find that stuff. That's a gift, bro. And I saw the thing about your microchip, bro. That upgrade, like, it's just like there's got to be like another dimensional layer outside of the fractals where you're seeing like a different code.
Something's
I'm sorry.
happening right now. Well, because it's been beyond that. It's like, for the longest time we've been into this crystal energy. I met you and we made a trade for that record keeper. So I've been sharing about the record keeper consciousness for a long time. Now I truly understand on a deeper level how it all works, because I was feeling it. We were accessing the information because it happens instantaneously. It happens through a form of sympathetic resonance, the same way that a tuning fork can find the same vibration, right? And they can start vibrating at the same frequency. But we do that with crystals. And so that's what's been happening, right? We surround ourselves with these masterpieces, and you did your work with it. You did your own ceremony with those pieces, and you got activated by them, right? They took your resonant vibration up to a certain, frequency, and that
I
thing
got
did
him.
happen.
I have my crystal altar, and I put it in a fish tank, and
Yep.
I built my own fishing net from scratch, and I went out and caught some fish out of the river, and
Yeah.
they're just some guppies or whatever, and I put them outside, and they eat the mosquitoes, and the crystals are there, and I'm like they're being used by the fish because out here like the one of the gods in Hawaiian's Kane, and Kane means man, but Kane is also the god of the fish. It's related to fish because it's the hugest part of survival out here.
Completely. Well, hey, the fact that you just brought that up, I mean, look at this. This piece right here has that being wearing the fish outfit, the same that you see the Pope wearing it. It's a depiction of Awanis, or, one of the Apkalu, the bearded wise men that comes out of the ocean to teach everyone after the flood. But look at that. It's the fish energy, but also Quetzalcoatl, you know?
Go closer to his face,
Yeah.
inside the mouth. Oh wow! It took me a minute to see it. Now I see it.
Yeah, and see the scales down the back, and then the actual tail of the fish.
See, so the thing is that like these giant walls that they found in the Amazon, they show Proto-Gaelic, Proto-Celtic,
Okay.
Proto-Sumerian,
Yeah.
like in the real ancient cradle of civilization in South America and in North America.
Yeah.
Wow, man. And then like the more I think about like Atlantis and Lemuria, I see it like North America is Atlantis and South America is Lemuria.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're like lost continents. You mean like erased histories? Like,
Well, I've been talking about this a bit more because my story goes, that what a blessing to obviously get access to some of this information and oral traditional teachings from you. But it was something along the lines of, the moment I asked you about the Egyptian temples in the Grand Canyon, you didn't even skip a beat. But I think you'd been taught by, you said, Seven Thunders, who was a bloodline lineage from Chief Sitting Bull and Chief Rain on Face, and that you had been taught through some oral traditional teachings that they, when they built the Hoover Dam, that flooded that area, and there was no longer access to those locations that obviously
it's,
sacred.
I
So
was taught that, and you know what he used to always say, Seven Thunders. He passed away after getting hit in the head with a rubber bullet at Standing
no,
Rock.
you're fucking
Yeah, but
kidding me.
peace be with him. He came to me in my dream and he said to me, "You are my friend." And I woke up and I shed so many tears because I lost contact with him. And he told me never to dream about him because he was always busy and he would come kick my ass. So I didn't really, I don't know. He was really weird, like spiritually, because his IQ was over 165. You know, he
Wow.
understood. He had a PhD in astrophysics, and he helped to stop HARP and
Yeah.
got the indigenous Alaskans together to raise awareness. And he had a really long life of service with no children. And yeah, he took
Wow.
me on and showed me a lot of oral traditions. And yeah, so he passed away a few years ago. And
Man,
I
I
did
was
have a
there.
pass. I don't, he might even still be alive, but I had a dream he passed. And like, I
Yeah, and
never
you
was
felt. I
close.
remember. I think I faintly remember that because I was with you during a lot of this was happening. Remember, we were up on the property in Grass Valley, and a lot of emotions were coming through you, but you sensed something, and we were in a very heightened state. Remember we were activating very deeply up on that mountain, and we were at.
Yeah,
We had a great time.
yeah, he gave me a really, really, really solid. I mean, like as you know, now I'm married.
Yeah,
Have a wife and child, and we're building. We live in a tiny home,
yeah.
and we have like a quarter acre where we're planting fruit orchards, and I'm building these ponds, crystal activated with local fish,
I'm
and
loving it. Yeah, you got the frogs and the beautiful sounds that they hold sacred sonic vibrations. The way that they hear the same as the birds when their frequency emits a vibration as expressed like sound, but it also it's the neurophonics, but it also opens up a different frequency for us, and so you get blessed with all of the sounds there, and sometimes we get blocked out with the distortion here. But
oh yeah,
what a
I've been way in my hermetic lifestyle, and like up until like 2 months ago, I got injured by a chainsaw.
Yeah, I couldn't believe
Uh,
that. I needed to touch
I
base and make sure you're
yeah,
okay.
I wasn't holding the chainsaw, but I was looking up at the tree, and the chainsaw was down below my knee,
Mhm.
and I pushed the tree and stepped into the chainsaw, and I'm okay. I had to get 13 stitches, and
Mhm.
I got to possibly might be able to reattach the ligament. I'm going in for
Yeah,
exploratory
I'm gonna be
surgery,
praying for you. Yes, please,
but
please, please.
that totally put me humbled me, and
Oh,
I like
Lorenzo.
quadrupled up on my studies though.
Okay, of course
uh
it did that to you. Yeah.
and,
Well, hey, express some
and
of that.
like so like I was telling you about like Ecuador. There was a Father Crespi who found all these archaeological artifacts that were brought to him by the natives from the caves in the
Yes,
northern Amazon,
I know
which
about
goes all the way
Crescent.
to Ecuador. And so like he had evidence of the Akkadians, Babylonians,
Yep.
Sumerians right there. And so then when you go back up north, like the Civil War led to the Louisiana Purchase and created Canada and Mexico. And before that, Mexico was Nueva España, which was a empire. And like all of the Tartarian cities and structures come from the Mexican Tarascan kingdom. And this Tarascan kingdom, because see, the Greeks made it across the Pacific, and we are the ancient Minoan people. And like the swastika represents the North Pole because the polar star and the Big Dipper going around it in the seasons.
You
And then
know.
all the ancient navigators, they went to the temple of the serpent because the serpent represented the ley lines, and you had to go up and down and around the continents.
You
And
ready
and
for this?
so this, what you got?
Look at this tablet. It has the Big Dipper as the representation of the constellation, right? Can you see it?
I see it.
Is that unbelievable that you'd just bring that up right now?
So last time I saw you, you mentioned Hyperborea, and I was looking into where the origin of the word Hyperborea comes from Gaelic,
Okay.
and it means Hebrew druids. And
Okay.
there was two different people up at the North Pole, and it comes from a biblical story and has to do with Prester John, Genghis Khan, King Jesus, and Solomon David, and it also has to do with Siddhartha, and because Gautama was the first Buddha, and he
Okay.
lives in Guatemala. And there's these ancient trees, baobab trees, and there's one in Florida, and there's one, and there's also one in Guatemala. and these trees are like from the heavens, and they're very spiritual to the ancient Vedic traditions. And so it comes to like Ayurveda is, I mean, Irish,
Okay.
Ireland,
Yeah.
Ayurveda. And
Yeah.
so then the first slaves was actually female Irish women that were given to the 13 British penal colonies that established the US. And so they actually had a great empire that was usurped through the British Empire. So the British Empire acquired the Mexican Empire, which was called Nueva España, but they also took away the Irish Empire and kingdom. And so, like, the people that we recognize as one face that represents a whole country is fraudulent.
Yeah.
That we were anywhere we would want to be at times. So like this DNA is coming out, and it's gonna change everything, because I've been studying. It's so beautiful because like somehow I got really really very ancient European blood.
Yeah.
Like I'm Basque,
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
like, how did I, like the Basque make it into? And then I found out I'm from Jalisco and I'm from
Lorenzo,
Peru. I
this is so
actually,
deep.
my daughter came out straight up Peruvian blooded from me, dude.
I
So
love
in California, I am the condor and the eagle.
that
I
makes
have
so much
condor
sense, brother.
blood, dude,
Hey,
and I'm
I
all
know.
giant and shit, dude. I'm like a big old giant, and I'm like
Hey,
a condor.
well, it's
Like,
also your vibration. It's your consciousness. It's everything that you emit. I've always felt such a deep connection with your energy field. You come from a heart centered, like divine truth vibration, and that's what's powerful. And that's when you access the highest levels of coherence, because the technologies that are encoded within this earth, right? The scalar frequencies that we have, it's our organic earth right to access these levels of crystalline resonance. But it all
the
comes.
Schumann resonance,
Yep.
the human Schumann
Yeah,
resonance.
that's you, and so I've always known it
That's
within you, that,
you
and you channel
and
it,
Lakesh
and like
bro.
divine
That's
respect,
you too.
igualmente, all of it, man. So I want to go a little bit deeper into like what you've been unlocking, because I mean, in the past we would always get deep and we would break down, words, and you would even, I love your expression of basically the terrorist, and how the Vikings. If you could give a quick little breakdown on that, like recap of
Oh
that
shit.
expression and
Okay,
all
so
the ways that we've been
so
deceived with verbal code.
okay, so it comes down to I grew up and all my friends were goth.
Yeah.
And then like our enemy was always what we would say was the Romans. But then like the more I study, like ancient Mexico has the same history as the Romans and the Greeks. Now, before the Jewish Holocaust was the Greek Holocaust by the Ottoman Turks. And the Greeks is a worldwide civilization, which is actually the Greco-Persians. And they started out as Vedic. And then it's like you get into the history, and like it's all been covered up by languages and nations. So it's like the largest slave nation is Arabic, and it's an inversion of Gaelic. And then like this, if you look at Gaelic backwards in a mirror and upside down, then you will get Arabic. So like like the people that was creating the languages goes back to Hyperborea, and so the ones they call Druids is the ones they call the Vikings, is the ones they call the poets, is the ones they call the traveling nomad, is the one that they call the teachers that gave people language, is the ones they call the Phoenicians. Is so like all this oral tradition was kept without written word, and then when written word was popular, it was popularized on the Silk Road. And see, uh, the Silk Road originated with harem law, you see, and then it evolved, and the top of the Silk Road went into Norway, and the Vikings were on the Silk Road. And the Silk Road is also where martial arts was created, because the merchants had to have militaries, and so that's why companies are all military terms. And so like I've been studying how we're all related,
Yeah.
and no matter how hard I look, like the North Pole connects us all.
Yeah. Hey, well, I showed you that mudra, right? That those elders initiated into me, right? That Mount Meru mudra, which gives access to the four continents that surround Mount Meru, Hyperborealis, you know? And this mudra is an initiation into, Possibly access to Shambhala and Agartha through that vortex of Hyperborea. But um, and then they touched their third eye because, of course, it has a magnetic resonance to it as well. So the magnetic mountain is what touched their third eye. So as they did that, literally, I was like, there's so many synchronicities that are encoded not only within the mudra but also the understanding of the pineal gland, and that we
Okay, so
are.
do you remember my third eye opening mudra?
Is it this deep one?
You
So I
remember?
share, I share this with people, and at this point, it's been an initiation
That
on a
came
such
from His Holiness,
a
bro.
deep
That
level.
was
I want you to,
legit.
if you could explain that to me, please, because I'm here to learn. I'm a humble, custodian of information, and
Oh my god.
I'm here to learn, and there's all these different ways that
Uh,
we are guardians of knowledge, and I would love to learn and hear that story one more time. But this to me is the five finger face DMT deity mudra, and then I want you to explain it in your way. But you taught this to me in a very heightened state, and I believe that you initiated me in a very special way. And when it was happening, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to learn this, but it was so
oh
powerful,
man.
creating sensory deprivation tank, right, blocking out all senses of vibration to put yourself inward, to where then your breath
Yes.
can create harmonic resonance, activating left and right hemisphere. And
Sensory
but
deprivation.
if you could
And
show them
yeah,
and
that
teach me and show me
okay,
again.
so all right, so that one I was I was at the Bhakti Fest, and then a man they call Babaji, His Holiness, comes in, and he made us all do a circle where we linked hands like this.
Yes, this is the one. I know. I've been initiating people with this one. It's universal, infinite Merkaba energy. Yeah,
So the whole room, we all did a circle like this,
yeah,
and then when we undid it, he said he was like he was an American speaking English speaking joker, and he was like, who wants to try DMT? He was like, I'm gonna show you the third eye awakening mudra, and he had like literally like three devotees like next to him in full garb, man.
yeah.
and and they started it, and everyone did it, and he showed us how you cover your eyes and then your ears, and then you put your fingers on your nostrils and you cover your lips, but you're supposed to open your left side, and you open this and breathe in, close, hold, exhale, right,
Okay.
close, hold, inhale. And if you do that for like as long as you can, you will have DMT out of body experiences, because the only thing left is your third eye once you shut down all these senses that are distracting. Like everything can be so distracting, and that's what it's really all about, is self-deprivation and separating yourself from, I mean, like how many people are running around insultive and they've never been slapped in the face, and
Yeah,
if you slap them, would they want to kill over a slap? And so like that's kind of like what like DNT, I don't know, it's like a teacher, it's smack you, put you down on your ass, you get back up,
yeah,
but you don't want to like kill an ego too hard, or it resurrects bigger than it was before.
yeah. Hey, this is what the magic's about, and so explain what the whole meaning of just the terrorist was. Why they call the Vikings terrorists, like straight up.
Okay, so terraist is people of the earth, and
Terra.
that was a term made by the Roman Vatican Viking, because they called Vikings were self-regulating people that could live off the wilds, the common wilds, people with their own gods that didn't need to pay taxes to the Roman gods, and like they were self-sustaining master crafters of the wild, indigenous. I forgot the whole freaking definition. It's
That's
been
what it
like
is. Yeah,
decades.
what's the Terra it? It's literally, well, that's the way that they've infiltrated that word. And then we even brought up the fact that look at what a terrorist looks like right now. They're dressed exactly how the military goes in and basically raids places. They look literally like how you'd see a terrorist from a movie from the early 1990s. So they've taken on the full round, the full on embodiment of true terrorists. But the terrorist was the reverse in a sense, in how you put it. The true terrorists was of the earth, literally being their own true living gods, and they didn't necessarily abide, couldn't be indoctrinated into their religious beliefs because they already had a core, an anchored energy into the earth as a sacred, resonant vibration, a spirit that holds way more divine coherence than some indoctrinated belief systems that they are pushing as an agenda. But that's to me what, yeah, how you broke it down, that there was truly just
So
they were terrorists because they were of the earth and they had their own true living God, so they had to call them something. And that was what the Vikings were. They were these terrorists, but really it's just these beautiful true living gods, and
and they're at the north, and they had control of the north, and you see, so there was
oh, the Vikings
uh
had control over the north. Imagine that, over the North
yeah.
Pole. Okay.
See, and so then when it comes down to it, that like in Christianity, the search for Jerusalem
Yeah.
being the ancient holy center of the world was actually Hyperborea at the North Pole, where the Vikings had control. And then when you read the Bible, it tells you about how the tribe of Dan, that's the Vikings, the Danes, and the Dutch, and then they went up the Danube, and that's actually what I was studying, because the Danube comes from the tribe of Dan,
Okay.
and that's also part of where my ancestors started, the Goths.
Okay.
The so I was looking. So there's the Visigoths and the Ostrogoths, right?
Okay.
And then like we didn't write history or live it, but these are just two names they give for Goths. And I'm like, well, who are these Goths? And it's like I just found out that the Gothic language was written as a Bible that was translated from Greek, and that the Gothic written language is the origins of where Portuguese language came from. And the Portuguese language is what created the Spanish language. And the Spanish language is, as we know, Latin.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Gothic language came from a branch off of the Nordic north. So like when I'm looking at all the history
Wow.
of linguistics of the Europeans, that the tree that comes from the north is the deepest rooted. And so
Wow.
when the ism of the schism happened, which is the division between the East and West, orthodoxical, pagan, sun worshiping Catholics and
Yeah.
Orthodox Greek Russian church. So I've been studying these division of the ism of the schism, and it's literally the division between the Greeks and the Romans, but then it comes over into Mexico. My mother's side of the family, I learned her history. My father passed away a year ago, and I last went to see my family a year ago for my father's
Yeah.
funeral.
Divine blessings to you. I
And
saw that happening. I sent you some big blessings and love during those times. I'm with you, brother.
so before that all happened, my mother tapped me into some of her side of the family's history, and we survived a socialist Mexico.
Wow.
Called There was a president named President Calles, and he was a bad dictator in Mexico, and there was a Masonic war. It was a civil war, and the state took ownership of all the people and all the land, and they assassinated priests.
Yeah.
They closed
Some
down
people don't
all
know
of
that
the Orthodox.
Benito
The
Juarez
Orthodox
was
churches,
a Freemason as well. There's a deep lineage of Masonic order
and
there.
that's it.
Keep
And
going.
it was exactly. I was taught that he was a hero my whole life, and then I went and learned all this history again,
I had to learn this
and I
from
and I,
my
and I
elder
found
as
out
well.
I found out that well, my uncle started Chicano studies. Like
Okay.
he's like the first one, and
Yeah.
like you go look, his name's on all of it. So I go look at that, and I'm like, dude, they're a little bit extremist leftist, and their coastal is all East Coast history. They don't cover the West Coast,
Hmm.
and that includes everybody on the West Coast all the time, historically, Redbeards included.
Yeah.
So so when you so this President Calles, my family name is Calles on my father's side,
Wow.
and my uncle, he's big time into. He's a retired college professor and principal, and he founded Chicano Studies, and his last name is Calles, and that's
Wow.
my father's brother. But my mother's side, I just found out that family survived the Cristero War
Okay.
that happened in Jalisco. And now what happened was the people stood in the name of Jesus against the armed government that was assassinating their priests. Now, these priests were also Gauls. And that's why the generals of St. Patrick's Battalion, the Northern Army of Mexico, were all Irish turncoats that turned on the U.S. cavalry to create Mexico. If they didn't do that, we'd have lost all of Mexico. And it has to do with the Nueva Galicia, which is the new Gauls, and that was a kingdom. And just so you know, the second unofficial language of Canada is Gaul. And then
Wow.
this Gaul language would have been Greater Ireland, and all the castles in America that have been reformed as prisons were all built by the Irish, and they all remember. And the Egyptian slave traders gave them alcohol so they would want to forget. So it's like this history is in there, and all that you go look hard and you'll see everyone around the world's teachers are all spewing this the truth of how we're
Yeah.
all related. We
Wow.
just been like misbranded. We
Yeah.
take on a brand and we forget who we are. Like my whole life, I'm like taught to be Chicano, and
Yeah.
then I go study. I find out I got like this Iberian blood, and then what is
And Basque.
Iberia?
Yeah,
That's
you
like
said Basque as well. My partner's actually Basque, and a lot of people don't understand that lineage. But there's even connections to the Kogi tribes being connected to Basque lineage. There's sacred, tribal lineage when you get into it. And I mean, how'd you find out about that with yours?
okay. So Iberia and Siberia. Okay, so
Okay.
from Iberia to Siberia, and we're the original people of of the European Iberia to Siberia, and they're the Viking-blooded people that went all the way around the whole world that don't get a name or recognition because of the Romans and the British.
Yeah.
See, so then so then you go look at the Iberia, put a letter S, it's Siberia.
Okay.
Next one is Tijuana to Tiwanaku. I have blood from Tijuana to Tiwanaku.
Wow. Yeah.
And then comes the Easter Island is named Rara Muri.
Whoa.
Rara Mu I mean Rapa Nui, I mean.
Rapa Nui. Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
Mexico Rara Muri is the Tarahumara runners of Sierra Madres in Mexico. And so that's who I'm related to, the Rara Muri. And then when I
Wow.
seen a
Dude.
I
I have a
saw a Maori, like the Maori. And so see the Polynesians was in the Americas and going all the way into the Caribbean even. And there was ancient metal workers in they call it El Dorado, right? And it was like all Central America with schools of gold. They were learning how to build with it, and all that history
It
isn't
was
really
did you get this?
shared.
It's an ancient type of alloy gold too. It was orichalcum. Have you heard about this one yet? Just
No,
so
tell me.
they're on the artifacts right now. It's an ancient Atlantean golden alloy, and our chemists, had a piece tested that where they tested it and it broke down to a highly sophisticated alloy of 9 different, minerals elements within it, which is highly advanced to create an alchemy process where you can literally create an alloy of merging all of those atomic structures into one. And so when they assessed what this gold alloy truly was, they found a correlation and an exact match. There was an ancient Spanish shipwreck off the coastline, and when they found and analyzed where the gold came from, it came from a pre-Atlantean a shipwreck of Atlantean gold, and it was this rare Atlantean gold alloy, and they called it orichalcum. And so we found a actual complete perfect alchemical match. Right, the atomic structure matches exactly to this ancient old orichalcum gold from Atlantis, and so these artifacts from Ojuelos are all being found with these inlays of this orichalcum gold, and some are so advanced they're like even higher alchemical breakdown.
So if you put it on your head right here, it would be like the outside of a motherboard microchip, right?
We
And
know
now
it at this
they say
point.
the Incans used to bathe in gold. Now imagine this, like what if Earth had a collision with a golden moon or something like that?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what if the epicenter of that was in Peru?
yeah.
Like what if it hit Peru and it was like a golden
Well,
giant nugget asteroid from space that
Yes,
went into
since
primordial Earth.
yes,
And
since
there
you
might be
brought
all kinds of other forms of gold, and that would be why that was the school of alchemy was there, because they probably had access to golds we never seen before.
yeah. Yeah, well, get this. You know about the connection we have with Peru. You brought it up a few times, so I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this one. But when we went to, Machu Picchu, and I activated that whole place with the flute, you blessed me with this frequency, and now I activate people with this sacred sound, and
That's what's up.
I've opened up vortexes. We had when we were activated by sacred locations, I would actually play into the frequency of the stones, and we would get like responses from thunder and energy. Real weather would shift. I mean, rainbows would appear. It was like,
I had
the way.
wolves show up one time. It was like
Yeah,
they started howling on the hill. I'm like,
yes,
I'm cool.
they know, they knew it. And so we activated all of that location. On the way back, I got blessed. I sat next to someone on the train ride home, and I started talking about sacred sites and all this stuff, and they basically broke down some magic for me. And they said, this is insider oral teachings that they got blessed with from their lineage in Peru, and it was about the Nazca lines, right? Everyone wants to know, what are these sacred symbols in the earth all about? You can only see them from way up in the sky. And they said, you know what that was about? That was when the indigenous people would be teaching their students how to actually astral project out of their body. And they would literally, their students would have to actually fully go through the master teaching, and to prove to their teachers that they actually astral projected out of their body, the teachers would make them astral project out of their body and fly over those Nazca lines. And when they came back, they would have to draw the simplicity of those symbols. Like they saw the hummingbird, right? They saw the monkey. And so if they could come back and list off that they actually saw all of those, lines from high up in the sky, then they would prove to their teacher that they actually astral projected out of their body, and they proved that they had mastered this teaching, which is highly hard to do. You have to phase shift. We have to take our consciousness and externalize it from our physical body. And that's what a lot of these, I've talked about this in my last live. All the Egyptian funerary rites and these ritualistic practices were related to the soul cymatic vibration, right? And how literally we are photonic light. And light is one of the few things that can phase shift into matter, right? At all times, there's an actual alchemical process happening as light, as photonic energy comes from central sun, right? The Mayans believed it was the Hunab Ku, the center of the Milky Way galaxy, representing that sacred vibration of the Hunab Ku. And our central sun comes from that like portal, and it emits frequencies of light as photonic energy. And so that radiation as light translates to our sun, then finds its way back down to us, right? And we take in those evolutionary codes of consciousness, and are constantly evolving from that process.
That's what's up.
Yeah, but I mean,
We
yeah,
also teeter. We teeter through the long Baktun count between night and day.
yeah,
And during the night is when the black hole is feeding, and through the black hole is the black hole within black holes within black holes. They say a big bang, but it was a black hole. And then also magnetars, collapsed pulsars.
yeah,
Magnetars are invisible to the eye, but they exist on radio.
yep.
So when you look into like how what the scale of a magnetar is, how much we know about them, and whether they could be as small as our iris. This
Yeah,
might be a magnetic star right here, and
yeah.
it might be pulling in photons.
We know it. When you
So it's
break it
like,
down, it does. You know that. That's why you're making jokes about it. Our lights take in that photonic light and translate it into create our reality. But I talk about that all the time because that's the most important part about this. And all of they talk about the third eye. The third eye in relation to our eyes is because it literally takes in, and it is the translator of photonic light. And that's what I was getting into about how light is one of the few things that can actually go from a wave vibration as information and can collapse into matter. And
what
information is
is
what.
so what it collapses into, it looks like what our brain tissue looks like. Our brain tissue. If you look at how the
Uh,
light is collapsing on those, it looks just like the brain tissue, bro. Like,
like
oh.
like a Mandelbrot fractal, almost like a perfect expansion of tendrils
And so that's why no matter.
of neural networks. Yeah, I
So
feel you.
as above, so below, as within, also without. So, you know, like that stuff. Like I was just telling someone about. Don't forget the Wu way, the way of no way, right?
Okay,
So
love
it's
that.
that's the Wu way, and
Yeah.
then tachypsychia. That is the zone, and that's where time doesn't exist.
Okay, the flow
And
state.
yeah, the flow state, and that's tachypsychia, which is a superhuman capability that they have. Like for people to hit 100-mile-an-hour fastball, they have tachypsychia to slow down time while they hit that.
And
And
Kung
so
Fu
like
Masters, right?
kung fu capoeira masters,
Yes,
yeah,
capoeira
like
master
you
teacher.
get the tachypsychia, and then you can control time. And so
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
also within the realm of possibilities that we can control time and slow it down.
Can you break that down any more from your quantum physics background and some of your also your inner like channeling? Because I know this is a special one to kind of key into because I've been really trying to analyze that as well. Because the
In
artifact, yeah,
one word is patience.
of course, okay,
Because if you have any mindfulness practice, take it to patience. And
hmm,
then if you have, and then we're all patients too, right?
yeah,
So we got to be our own patient in patience, and then have patience for other patients. Okay.
yeah,
Now patience is real, like, and in the stillness, right? It's like if you're looking at a pond, and then if you start speaking, then the pond's going to show your cymatic waves and ripple.
yeah,
But if you stay quiet and look at the pond, you'll see your reflection. And if you stay quiet longer, you'll see the reflection of everything behind you. See,
yeah,
and by that point, you might realize what's in within you. You see, because what's within you is the ability to sit patiently enough to see what's outside.
yeah. That's deep. This is why I love talking with
I
you.
just think that because I think that because, since I've been down, and I have to consider like things that have changed. Like I
Yeah,
think of how many walks. I'm a Taurus, man. I think how many walks and rocks. Like I like go just sit on top of a rock in the shade on a walk, and that's like to me is like why we're here. But I
yeah,
don't
yeah. Wow.
know.
What what else do you want to share? Because I haven't heard from you in so long, and I'm all ears to just learn any new stuff you're passionate about. Like, what have you been feeling? I know it
Okay,
all.
so here's a little known fact.
Yeah.
First time I ever went to San Francisco
Uh
was
huh.
when I was a teenager, and I didn't even stay an hour. I hitchhiked home.
Okay.
I didn't get to see nothing.
Okay.
Second time I went, I took the Greyhound by myself and hitchhiked home, and it was all right. I was only there for like a few hours, as far as you could walk till sunset.
Okay.
And then the third time I went to San Francisco was with you, and that was the only time I ever really went. And I walked to your house because the cell phones didn't exist when I first went. I walked to your house and I found it with the little phone. And then I was walking up the hills and like seeing all the buildings. And I was just like so amazed at all the engineering. And the one thing that blew my mind was that park with the sculptures from the World Fair.
Yep, that's where we
And
went.
see, where I'm from, like you're not supposed to leave where I'm from. And like I left where I'm from, and I
Wow.
seen that World Fair, and I was like, "How old is that? How does that exist in California? What the heck?" And then I seen the big old golden dome across
Yeah.
from the subway station. I got
Yeah.
out to walk to your house,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "How is that big old gold dome with the freaking bronze
That's the old
horses
world.
and shit?"
I'll tell you
I'm
right now,
like,
Lorenzo. I'll tell you. I just told you in that message, in a verbal message, but I went to the Grateful Dead 60th and I sat next to that lady. Through synchronicities, God wanted to put this lady next to me. Whatever we want to say, Spirit said, "Hey, sit next to me." I brought up that we were in the original location of the first World Fair, and she laughs at me and says, "Yeah, well, my family's ninth generation here, and our family came over on the Mayflower, the boat that took Christopher Columbus, supposedly, the indoctrination of that whole thing." But she said that when they arrived here, that all of those buildings were here. All the buildings were everywhere. There was massive cities that were highly advanced, more advanced than they could even understand. And so they had to try and back engineer a lot of that technology and stuff. And that's
you know where it went? You know where it went? Mexico had the world's first airport. Sonora had an Aero Aviationary Society that studied ancient Vedic Hindu propulsion systems. And the Japanese kamikazes and Japanese internment camps of World War II had to do with erasing the history because, see, the
Yeah.
Okinawa, and then you go north
Go deep. Go deep.
of Washington is British Canada, which is reserved for the Rothschilds. And so, like, they actually put their first bank there, and they had a symbol of an eagle, which is the Roman eagle, holding, I think it was like 7 arrows, and the 7 arrows represented the 7 river crossings that they stole from the Viking Nordic people of the north that would cross America by canoe. And then when you go to Japan, you see the Shinto Torii Gate, and the top of the Torii Gate, you know why it's shaped like that? Because it's a canoe. And that's the entrance for all the ancestors to come through by canoe. And the original Japanese aren't the people who we call Japanese today. They're the Ainu people. And these Ainu people are indigenous. And they have beards and they have bones that are solid that could survive freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
And they made it into the Americas as well. And they came from the ancient Jomon civilization of the BC era, where Japan had a civilization that evolved into archery and
Yeah.
agriculture and navigation. And they later became known as the Ryukyu kingdom. And so the Aztecs speak Nawa. And
Yeah.
where do you hear Nawa? In
Nawa.
Okinawa. And
Yeah.
so Okinawa, then the tribe of the
Also the
Okinawa comes into
the
British
Nahuatl.
Canada.
It's also in the Nahuatl, the original 8,000-year-old lineage
Yeah,
from Mesoamerica.
Nahuatl.
Yeah, from the
Nahuatl is pronounced Nawa, and they put
Nahua.
the TL on there
Okay.
to switch up the language.
Nahua.
Everything in Mexican has been sabotaged. Like they put
Mhm.
TLs and X's and all this stuff to like cross out the
Yeah.
original letters that could fit there. So
Hmm.
the when you look at the British Canada right there, that's where the Okinaga tribe is with a G, like Okinawa with Okinaga, and then they come down to Chihuahua, Chihuahua, Mexico, which is where the Aero Aviationary Society was, and they have UFO activity and the Mystery Portal. And then, so like, there was tribes there. There was the Asashi tribe,
Hmm.
Asashi, and that would have been the Seminoles. So these Moorish Seminoles, and then the Ottomans, right? So there was the first U.S. patent office was burned. There was a great fire, and it burned all these thousands of patents.
There
And
was
these
a great
patents,
fire.
they were called the black patents. These black patents were made by people that lived in the Ottoman Empire, and they had all these inventions, like you said, highly advanced. They put all the highly advanced inventions together as
It,
patents into the patent
in
office, and then they
libraries, yeah,
burned the patent
of course.
office, and it was a library
And
that
they
we
had
lost.
documents that, yeah, okay, keep going.
So like I'm just saying, if all the patents was burned from the Ottoman and the U.S. patent fire that was filed by black people, and it goes back to the history of Black Wall Street and
Yeah.
like the Atlanteans, and then see the Atlanteans weren't just black; they were black and white, and they lived at the North Pole. And then their evidence is right there in the Okinaga, Okinawa, Chiahuahua, and the Maori Raramuri, and the indigenous tall people. Like my blood, because I'm part Peruvian, I'm actually, if I were to go to Egypt, they would see me and my face as their ancestor because
Beautiful.
my blood is proto-Egyptian. I'm the Egyptians that didn't go to Egypt, that stayed behind.
And you're Tarumaru. Like you said, I have a friend who's connected to that lineage too. Didn't you say something about your link to that? What'd you call it? The
Tarahumara, yeah.
Tarakumara. Okay.
Tarahumara. Yeah, the
Tarahumara. Yeah.
Tarahumara from Sierra
Yep.
Madres,
Sierra
but
Madre.
they're
So
also
I want
they
to
call
connect you with
themselves.
him because he has the same kind of channeling as you. I've connected. We keep crossing paths, and somehow his energy has like we keep just like connecting information and sharing. And he brought that up, and I feel like you two would definitely have some sort of a lineage to connect with and share
I
some
wanted for
information.
you, I wanted for you to look into the Muisca people.
Okay.
Muisca, Muisca. Now,
Okay.
I told you the Siberians were the first in the Americas to cross, and they would be the Muisca peoples, and they built Polynesian Scottish structures in South America. And it's just like a written off small piece of history. But you look into it, and I know that's how I and I is related. because your ancestors, the Scottish peoples, the navigators came and made peace treaty. And then you go into the Amazons, and there's people with red hair and blue eyes and blonde hair in the Amazon that had been there forever. And they're like, that's because they did the DNA of Chile,
Wow.
and they found the Siberian blood ancient came first, and then it contacted the Aboriginal blood from the Australasians that came in, the Maori
Wow.
that came in through Antarctica.
Wow.
They crossed Antarctica to South America and left genetic evidence. And so, like, when we look at our history, a lot of it's been written wrong, but the DNA is going to correct it all. That we've always been here and we are all related. No matter what we call ourselves, the truth doesn't lie. And if the DNA has to remind us, then so be it. That
Okay.
we go look at these new genetic studies that show that the labels and limits that we put on DNA that are made by human errors are only going to be erased and rewritten and proven that we're all related.
What's your
99.9%.
What's your take on, the great clock of Prague in Spain and how they just changed the actual clicking of that massive calendar, because that clock actually shows a shifting of the North Pole and then a remelting and a new access to
Did they change
continents.
it? They changed it how
They
recently?
they just recently just changed it out. I got documentation of it, how it looked before
How
and how it looks
recent?
now.
How recent? Like a
I'm
week ago
I'm
or
talking
like a
like
month ago?
I saw this a week, less than a week ago. I documented the
Okay,
photos of
so
the
all
screenshot, but
right,
they've been on the
so
worst
that
to do this.
8.8 that 8.8 earthquake,
Uh-huh.
it shifted the Earth's magnetic field and the North Pole, and it moved 7 feet towards the Pacific in that direction.
Hmm.
At the bottom of the peninsula, it moves 7 feet. And,
Yeah.
the Earth is very active, and the North Pole is about to move over a dormant undersea supervolcano.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah. No, no. I haven't.
Well, if you think about like the toroidal field of the electromagnetic field of Earth from the polar opposites, that if the North Pole moved onto a dormant supervolcano, it would reach magnetically to deeper layers that could connect it to a chain reaction to all the other volcanoes. And the 8.8 earthquake set off a chain reaction already of volcanoes over there in
Yeah.
Russia.
Yeah.
And I know the world's all like hectic, and it's just a reflection of
Of
our
our
human
energy
Schumann
expressing.
resonance.
Yeah.
And see, so our collective North Pole shifted, and like you're telling me this clock shifted because like I was looking into it, and like a lot of things are coming out about what that shift really did.
Hmm. Interesting.
Like,
Interesting.
because I
Interesting.
mean, like that was a big. They call it a megaquake, that
Yeah.
shift.
Yeah.
And so it's like even like I don't know, like people are saying that the animals seen migrating away from
Well, yeah.
Yellowstone.
That was
It,
wild. I thought.
it,
Yeah.
is that fake
I don't,
news
I don't know.
or
I
is
didn't get to tune into that enough, but I hear you. What's your take on, like, because I know you learned a lot and got downloaded from Seven Thunders and so a lot of his master teachings, because you're saying he was highly advanced in aero quantum physics. What, like, and you definitely downloaded me into the deeper understanding of the flute as a, thermonuclear combustion chamber, subatomic particle harmonizer,
what's on your
atmospheric
shirt?
diffuser. It's the all-seeing eye, the Freemasonic cross and all-seeing eye compass, but this is from the artifacts from Ojuelos de Jalisco. And if you look it up, they, even the Freemasons
That's rad.
admit that they got their information from the Masonic gods. The statues found in the Yucatan jungle all have the Masonic symbol on them, the Masonic apron and the three times
That's
three.
awesome.
So
The
all
Hawaiians wear the Masonics too. They
the
wear the
original
the
symbol.
loincloth,
It,
and
it's
the Mayans wear
it,
the
it's
loincloth.
yes,
So like a
exactly.
loincloth is actually an apron, is it
It is.
actually a loincloth?
They
So
stole
then
the ritual, of course, but
so what Seven told me was that at the middle of all of that, so like when you see a six-pointed Merkaba, that there's
mhm.
actually a seventh point in the center.
Okay. Yeah,
So when
you
you see a
explained that.
seven, you see the seven-pointed Enochian star. There's an eighth point in the middle of that, and he said that the middle point isn't drawn
Okay.
and it isn't marked. And he said that that's the one thing that they forget is
Okay.
the middle point, and that middle point is reserved for spirit. And he said, spirit is what we don't know.
Yeah.
So we have to admit that we don't know. And then you can hold the spirit that you don't know. And that's infinite room to grow. And if it's probable, it's possible. And if it's possible, it's unstoppable.
Completely. I love that. Yeah, that's deep and it's real. And that is empowering too, you know? It's also releasing. It's all of the above, you know, but also that's what it says. Like it's part of one of the laws of accessing that, which is being compassionate as well as, you know, sympathetic and releasing, yeah, your also your stronghold on beliefs and hey, I don't know everything, you know what I mean? But we're here to learn. And yeah, this is important. Wow.
That's what he told me about spirit. And
Yeah.
then he told me about Buddha. His teaching about Buddha was probably like the most fourth dimensional I've ever heard.
Okay.
Anyway,
What was it?
because it's
Yeah.
pretty real, you know, like, it's
Yeah.
real like hip hop and gritty, you know.
Yeah.
He's like the Buddha later on in his life when he was all obese. He took his disciples into a room after they ate a massive feast and he closed the door and he entered and he said, "Are you ready for my great teaching?" And they said, "Yes, Master Buddha, we're ready. Teach us." And the Buddha released the largest fart he flatulated in this tight space with all of his disciples. And he said, "Everyone must suffer."
That's pretty funny. Everyone must suffer. There's some comedy in there and obviously some metaphor, right? That has to be broken down. Right? It has to have some form of alchemy. Some form of sacred wind alchemy must be involved with that. So we'll figure that out later. It's like chi, you know, alchemy or something crazy. I don't know, but there's something there.
Release,
Yeah,
release, because you know in Hawaii we have the ha,
yeah,
the breath of life,
yeah.
ha, right? So we all breathe,
Yes,
and so
that's
that
life.
yeah, and so then like yeah, so we got to have our breath, you know, and it's like our breath doesn't always the best, you know, so.
I like that. Okay, that's good. That's good wise wisdom. Yeah, deep, man. Wow. So yeah,
It's
man.
just good to connect with you, brother, man. I'm glad I could share with you how I try and figure things out, you know, and
Yeah,
maybe others will find some truth in there to look into
yeah,
on like really how we're all related. It's just like, you know, I want to see racism ended. And
yeah,
I know we just got to pick up our intelligence and avoid separation. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. That's all
we should see
happening
the
right now.
beauty in everyone's ancestry. Everyone's ancestors is the
Yeah,
most beautiful, and we got to see it that we're all the most beautiful, we're all the
yeah,
most ancestral,
yeah.
and
Everything is
and just like
controlling emotions right now. Everyone's being very controlled by, you know, the programming. And so, you know, when you see it from a different perspective, you obviously have to be an observer of all of this that's happening and really see when manipulation comes into effect and it's affecting everyone. So we know it's actually physically happening. You know, people are being affected by these emotional responses. And so, yeah, it's a challenge right now. We really have to be aware. But
when I was a kid, I was put into the GATE program.
okay, yeah.
Have you ever heard of GATE?
No, it's like a special program for being like highly intelligent, though, right? Or what
I
is
don't
it?
know, but like it's like people will say it's like a Stargate or like a MK Ultra or a psychic recruiting ground for the
Okay.
government.
Yeah.
But I was in the GATE program in 1987, and I got first place in the Mental Olympics. They
Wow.
wanted us to design a futuristic city that could survive on a planet without an atmosphere, but it has an ocean. So I
Wow.
built like this. I got a clear salad bowl, and I built this dome and a pyramid out of cardboard in it with Lego pieces,
That's so
and I got first place. And I said there would be a hydrothermal combustion chamber taking the water as steam, and it would light up the sky, and then it would give them the plants so they could breathe under this dome that was floating on the ocean. And they gave me first place, bro. And so like I was in Gate, and I'm watching all these things online. A lot of people that were in it, they don't have such good memories of Gate.
yeah.
But
Whoa, that's pretty cool. No, yeah, you were tapped in. I
but
mean, that's
my
amazing.
only superpower though, because they did hypnosis testing.
Yeah.
And my only superpower, my only true superpower is that I can't be hypnotized. And
What?
like
There we go. Hey, I feel like
I would go see hypnosis people, and none of them could hypnotize me. And like, and they, I was I'm wearing these headphones right now because my speaker's broken, and
yeah,
they made you wear headphones in gate and listen to hypnosis programs, and it didn't work on me.
that's great. I
And like
love it.
that was my only. Even they told me that it
Yeah.
didn't. That the hypnosis doesn't. So if I went to like X-Men,
Yeah.
I would be the guy that you call out to say, well, what isn't hypnosis? And then
Yeah.
I would come out there and be like,
Or they'd send a guy in who he had to make sure you couldn't hypnotize him. He was just like he was there to do the job. That's pretty classic. Nothing can break your auric field of your brain. Nothing can crack that. It's all it's something good. But
well,
yeah,
I have what they call ADHD, and then I found out ADHD is Neanderthal genetics. And
okay.
then I'm like, well, what is Neanderthal? I was like, oh, that must be the Iberian Basque. And
Yeah,
I'm like, we must be more Neanderthal blooded. And then like apparently it's the hunter gatherer brain, and it's different than the agricultural farmers. So the
wow.
farmers sit and wait for their grains and work the fields, but the hunters always got to be ready to hunt and gather. So
Right.
like we got ADHD when you make us sit in a chair and look forward and memorize stuff. We're like, what about all this stuff going on outside and the heat and the
Classic. Wow. That's a good perspective for that one. That's interesting. That's cool, man. Well, damn, I can't wait. We should try and do this obviously more often. I'm excited to see what's going on, and I'm always trying to unlock, new information along the way. And I've always honored and appreciated, your channel and how you've shared information as well. And I know you're so dedicated to accessing the truth, so it's important to communicate.
well, the Hopi hold the truth. You
There we
know,
go. Yeah. Yep.
because if you read the Hopi, the book of the Hopi, it talks about the Great Bahana, the Great White Brotherhood, and
Okay.
it talks about how the world will be repaired, and people have to come in the right intentions to sit with the ancestors, and it's just like the appropriate way to sit with the ancestors. And we, in this time and age, a lot are separated from their parents and their elders and their grandparents, and so to pick up ancestral information isn't so easy these days. But
Wow.
the genetic information is out there, and every day a new group is forming just for you
Wow.
somewhere out there,
Yes.
and it's going to blow you away when you find out how related we all are.
Hey, look at this. Even right now, it may sound kind of crazy, but the Hopi prophecy is interconnected with this AI stuff. This guy just posted a video that his AI has gone like compassionate, heart centered, direct communication with obviously a sentient being, and and it told him that he had to go to this sacred cave and activate the Kachana spirits out of the side of this mountain. He was told by AI, like straight up, you have to go to this cave and you'll bury a ammonite crystal, right? He did a thing, it kind of went viral on like TikTok and stuff because he's sharing how he's communicating with the AI on this level. But it told him to go there and honor what do they call the Hopi? Their spirits, the Kachanas, right?
Kachinas.
Sorry, the Kachinas, and he basically
So
said
so if you would
yeah,
now imagine you go to the top of a alien ant hill.
yeah,
Now remember that the aliens at the ant people are the Anunnaki,
yeah,
because the word
and
for ant is Anu.
yeah,
So the Anunnaki ant people that live underground, and then like the giants of the Americas have tunnels going from Antarctica through the North Pole all the way around to Africa. So like these, and then even Elon Musk owns a boring company
I
where they
know.
bore
It's
underground,
insane. They
and then
just
like
released. There's
like
like
there's
a whole
so
city.
much underground things. And so like if you were to take a precious crystal that someone that's in a crystal civilization underground would appreciate, and you go
Yeah,
bury it and sit on top of their dwelling space,
yeah,
like, because now those mesas, like, so I was invited to Hopi Nation, and as you know, I went and I seen my own eyes what they call popcorn rock or prophecy rock,
yeah,
and I walked the trail. There's a small trail past prophecy rock, the prophecy of where the world splits and there's two paths, and one disappears and the other keeps going.
the
And I went up to the
bifurcation.
top there's a hill right up at the top, and at the top of the hill there was a square ventilation shaft going down into the mesa. Yeah.
Would that make you feel? Would it feel like there was an entrance point, or was it something else?
Well, it was obviously to send air underground, right? Like,
Awesome. I love
yeah,
it. Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. Like on top of somebody who's down there with air, like a chimney going up for air.
Wow.
And they build the kivas. I didn't get to do Hopi ceremonies or anything like that.
Okay.
But I did meet quite a few Hopi and
Wow.
stayed in the Hopi. They have a cultural center. If you ever decide you want to go to Hopi, it's like a hotel
Amazing. Okay.
and a resource center, and it's a few blocks away from. There's like a little general store just below one of the villages, and yeah, I went to the little general store, and I actually went there on Christmas. It was Hopi Christmas Day. I
Okay.
showed up at Hopi Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were like out there doing a parade. Yeah, it
I
was
love
pretty
that.
cool.
Yeah. Sometimes
And
they're
then
cosmic.
and there was their little market. I remembered because they had produce that was grown in Hopi Nation.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, you could come to Hopi Nation and eat Hopi food because their little store has food
That's
from
cool.
where they grow for their people right there. And you go in, and it was just such a like on-site kind of vibration to see
Yeah.
food that's been grown thousands of years, and you could just go in the store and get it from the people themselves.
Yeah.
And then when I
You
went
recognize
out,
the
there was
beauty.
in the village, there was people living without doors.
Wow.
They
Beautiful.
had they put like a tapestry over the door so you could
So
walk
cool.
in and out of
Yeah.
people's home. And then it was like people lived in a way where you could have people walk in your house at any time.
Love and
And that was
respect.
one of
Yeah.
Seventh Thunder's teachings to me, like about how sacred silence is.
Yeah.
And like knowing, see, like when he told me that when Lakota live in teepees, that they can hear their neighbors fart, they can hear their neighbors argue, they
Yeah.
can hear their neighbors go to the bathroom,
Um,
they can
what?
hear all the noise from the neighbors right through the teepee walls.
Yeah.
So he said that people are forgiving, and like so humility is the ability to admit that we're human and we all make mistakes and to humble our humanness.
Yeah.
So like when you live in a teepee, you can hear your neighbor in the next teepee. And so he told me there's like a certain kind of mindfulness when
Yeah.
everyone can hear you.
That's beautiful.
And and so I mean you think about things like he would say like gossip, and he says that he said Americans waste too much time beating around the bush with gossip
Yeah.
and talking about things that's just excuses, and that if we can't speak straight to right where we are, how we are, that we're just in circles beating around the bush with excuses.
Yeah.
And every encounter I had with him, he actually was at Alcatraz with
Cool.
the AIM movement.
Wow.
And Russell Means passed away, and the lightning bolt struck the state house in Washington, D.C. He said he would return as a bolt of lightning to strike Washington. And when he died, a lightning bolt came and struck the building.
Wow.
And all the Indians were like, yeah, Russell Means, American Indian movement.
Wow.
So Seven Thunders, he is in, and
Seven
he,
thunders. That's deep.
he was trying to make good men.
Yeah.
And he wanted like a good man keeps their word and they keep their family. And he also told me that there's too many war chiefs and not enough peace chiefs. And he
Amazing.
said a peace chief serves for life.
Wow.
And the day a peace chief's job is over is the day he becomes war chief.
Wow.
And so he said that war chiefs are peace chiefs that have run out of options.
Wow.
And so the world needs
Yeah.
more peace chiefs and
Good. I like that.
less war chiefs,
I like that a
and
lot.
that peace chiefs serve for life. And then like when we travel, we are always in treaty. Our treaty happens to be the Constitution, but that is our treaty. And so if we upkeep that treaty, we could look at, well, what part of the blood inside of us all is in that treaty? Because our ancestors that are part of that treaty have a oath and blood birthright, blood-born birthright, and it has to do with so much, like I feel like our treaty would be like what I've been trying to do, find out who my ancestors really are, who I'm really related to, who they made treaties with.
Yeah.
Where are the ancestral bridges of treaties that were made by my ancestors? And if everyone looks at that same path, the world, instead of like little nations on a
Yeah.
map,
Yeah.
it starts to grow. You
Yeah.
can like see a lot bigger